Hello and welcome to my channel StartLIfeOver. Today is second video about how our body creates and loses fat. In the first video we discussed process called lipogenesis, how we create fat, how we create fat storage unit called triacylglycerol or triglyceride. It is the same. Today we will discuss opposite process called lipolysis, how we lose fat, how we decouple it, and what happened with this. Let's get started. Lipolysis is process of losing fat. In opposite of lipogenesis, that triggers by high level of glucose in our blood, lipolysis starts when you have low level glucose on our blood. How you can get this stage? There are actually three options. Option one, you can do more exercises, so you can produce more energy from your body than you consume energy from food. Option two, you can lower your food. This is what I discussed in my video how to lose weight and how I did it. So you need to do short lowerage of calorage, like 5-10% less than you need, using proper carbons. Again, another video, good and bad carbons. In this way you will reduce level of glucose in your blood, and you will have lipolysis started. Or combination of both. You can add a little bit more exercise to your body and balance your menu. But be careful with option number three. Don't do a lot changes in both cases, because you can start lose weight very quickly and body will be stressed. And when body is stressed, you may have a lot of problems. So, such way or other, we get to the point when glucose level in blood low. This is step number one. Before we start step number two, I will repeat a little bit what I told about in first video in order to make this video independent. So who saw first video, please bear with me. Our organs, our tissues, our cells and muscles have receptors. In this way, body manage delivery of useful elements to our organs. For example, if your organ requires glucose, it would have receptor for glucose. It is very generic, definitely. It may have receptor for different, for example, hormones that can bring glucose. But in our case, we can say that it has receptor to get glucose. If your organ doesn't need glucose, it would not have receptor for glucose. So in this way, everything that floating in your blood gets to different organs, tissues, cells, muscles when it needed. So in our body we have very important organ called pancreas. Particularly 1% of pancreas consists of so-called islets of Langerhans. These islets, aside of everything else, have two cells, alpha and beta. In first video we discussed beta cells that produce hormone called insulin. This hormone produced when we have high level of glucose in blood, and in our case, when we have low level glucose in blood, our pancreas has receptor for glucose. Whenever it's low, glucose will be out of pancreas for different needs, and pancreas will see that we have low level of glucose. Then it will trigger process in islets of Langerhans in alpha cells to secrete another hormone called glucagon. It is very easy to remember because glucose is gone, so glucagon. So whenever glucagon secretes, using some proteins and enzymes, it would be released to the blood. This is step two. We have glucagon in game. When glucagon released to the blood, it starts binding with fat cells called adipocyte. Inside this fat cell, we have our fat storage unit, triacylglycerol. When glucagon binds with adipocyte, with this fat cell, it starts a process called mobilization of triacylglycerol. Mobilization of our fat storage. During this mobilization process, it activates 3 specific enzymes that decompose our triacylglycerol to glycerol and 3 fatty acids. These 3 enzymes exactly doing this cutting of each fat acids. So it is adipose triacylglyceride, then duoacylglyceride, and monoacylglyceride. It's very simple. So step number 3 is mobilization of triacylglycerol. When glucagon binds with adipose tissue, with fat cell, adipocyte, and decompose our fat storage to glycerol and 3 fatty acids. This is step 3. Actually, on this stage, per se, lipolysis is done. So we decouple our fat, but now let's quickly review what happened with this fat, why we are doing this. So our glycerol and 3 fatty acids released to the blood. Glycerol is water soluble, so it can easily go to the blood and circulate it there. Our fatty acids require some help because it's not water soluble. So in this case, we have in our blood plasma, we have a protein called albumin. We have a lot of albumin in our plasma to help such things like fatty acids circulate in blood. So albumin plays like bus driver for fatty acids. So fatty acids get in and circulate in the blood. And fatty acids can go anywhere. Heart, liver, muscles, anywhere we need energy at this moment. And when it happened in the organ that we need it right now, when we need energy in order to produce some processes there, fatty acids go through the specific process called oxidation. So during oxidation, our fatty acids transformed to energy. So give you comparison, one 16-carbon fatty acid, 16 carbon, that means 16 carbons in the chain of fatty acid, will produce about 108 molecule of ATP, our units of energy, adenosine triphosphate. When one glucose molecule during the same oxidation process will produce only 29 to 30. Actually, it produces 34, but you need some energy in order to do this oxidation. And net, you will have only 29 to 30 ATPs, adenosine triphosphate. So you see that fat is huge, enormous storage of energy. Therefore, our body loves fat. Our body loves lipogenesis to store fat just in case if some bad times comes, you will have energy to survive. So this is step 4, oxidation of fatty acids. Step 5, what happened with our glycerol? Glycerol, as I said, easily circulating in blood, and in liver or other organs, again using glucagon, the same lovely hormone glucagon, it would be decoupled, decomposed or transferred to glucose. This process called gluconeogenesis. So again, glucagon in liver, for example, trigger process that take glycerol and decompose it to glucose. And this glucose definitely would be released to the blood. So in this way, glucagon helped to release glucose in the blood, rise level of glucose in the blood, and add energy to the body organs and body tissues and muscles that require it right now. When we have low level of glucose, we have shortage of energy, and this energy will be directly delivered through fatty acids to particular place when it's required. So hope it might make sense. We have these 5 steps. Very briefly, let's summarize. Step number 1, reduce level of glucose, either through adding exercise to your daily routine or reducing calorie level through proper carbons. 5-10%, not more, don't kill yourself. This is step number 1, you have low level of glucose. Step number 2, pancreas, getting low level of glucose, trigger process in islets of Langerhans in alpha cells to secrete specific hormone called glucagon. Step number 2, glucagon released to the blood. Glucagon start circulating in blood and start binding with fatty cells, with fat cells, adipocytes, when we have our units of storage, fat storage units, and start process called mobilization of triacylglycerol. This is our fat storage. During this mobilization process, specific 3 hormones cut each fatty acids from glycerol, and eventually we have glycerol and 3 fatty acids as a result of this mobilization process. This is step number 3. We decouple our fatty storage. Now we release it to the blood. Fatty acid requires some help, it is not water soluble. We have albumin, protein albumin in our blood plasma. So this take these fatty acids and help these fatty acids to circulate in the blood. These fatty acids can go to anywhere, any organ, any tissue, any muscle that require energy at this moment in order to build something, to build new protein, to do whatever they need, like heart, liver, muscles, whatever. And in this particular organ, these fatty acids would be processed through oxidation. So it would be oxidation process started, and through this process, these fatty acids would be decoupled to and transformed to energy units, adenosine triphosphate. This is step 4. Step 5, our glycerol also can be oxidated to ATP units, but another point that glycerol can do. Glycerol in liver, for example, again, using the same hormone that we released in step 2, glucagon, can be through process called gluconeogenesis, can be decoupled and transformed to glucose. And then glucose will be released to the blood and level of glucose would be up. This is exactly why we need glucagon. Now, we're done with this process. Hopefully you understand right now how lipolysis works. Before we finish, just for your information, process of lipolysis can be started in different way as well. When your body in stress, when you in stress, especially in acute stress, our body secrete another hormones called epinephrine and norepinephrine. This epinephrine and norepinephrine can play the same role binding with fat cells, with adipocytes, and start mobilization of TEG process. When you in severe stress, in chronic stress, I don't know, lose somebody very close or some real stress happening, our body will secrete cortisol, growth hormone, or even thyroid hormone. They also can do the same. They also can bind with fatty cells and start process of mobilization of triacylglycerol. So therefore, be very careful stressing yourself and stressing your body. You can see it actually. For example, I personally saw a lot of examples when people had really bad times and they like lose weight from pretty much no effort. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you saw the same with your either friends or relatives. So this is exactly why. So this is what I'm always saying in my channel. Be careful with stressing your body. Don't stress it very hard, because your body can react very differently and you don't know how it happens and you don't know what happens, and then you are in square one, you don't understand what, and you need to restart everything from the beginning. So be wise, use this information to understand how it works, and hopefully you will adjust your program in order to make this process better, in order to lose weight with more quality, as I call it, which means lose more fat, less muscles, you will lose muscles anyway. So let's not bullshit ourselves. But try to lose minimum of muscles, maximum of fat, and you will be in great shape and in good health. Having said that, thank you very much for watching my video. Subscribe to my channel. Share this video with your friends. Send me your likes or dislikes. Send me your questions. Share your story, how you lose weight, how you deal with these things. We're all learning here. Until next time.